Hurricane Florence will move onshore the coast of the Carolinas Thursday into Friday. As the system weakens over the mid-Atlantic region this weekend, extremely heavy, potentially life-threatening rainfall is expected to fall across the region.
Welcome back, strangers. Soggy here. Being as there's a Category 4 hurricane heading our way, we thought it would be a great time to go over 5 things you'll need to know or have to survive a natural disaster. You can go 3 weeks without food, but not very long at all without water, so you're going to need to make sure you have plenty in bottles, clean drinking water to have on hand. Another good thing to do is make sure you fill your bathtub all the way up with water before the storm hits and you lose your power and don't have any water to flush your toilet with. If you get in a pinch that you do need drinkable water, you can always boil this, and then voila, drinking water. With food, you're going to want to make sure that you have enough to go several days without being able to leave your home. If the roads are flooded, if you can't get out for whatever reason, trees down, roads blocked, you're going to want to make sure you have food for 4 to 5 days at least for every person in your household. You're going to want food that's not perishable, food that won't go bad when you lose power, and your refrigerator won't cool anymore. If you don't have a generator, one thing you're going to want to have is a large cooler so that you can keep your food cool and it won't spoil so quickly. Some good types of food to keep on hand are things like MREs, Spam, ramen noodles, SpaghettiOs, anything that's not perishable, stores well, and doesn't take much to cook. Speaking of cooking, if you're going to need heat to cook while your power's out, a good thing to have if you have a gas grill. Make sure that your propane tank is full before the storm gets there and everybody else has got the propane and you don't have any. The third thing you're going to want to make sure that you have in preparation for a storm is solid shelter. Remember guys, if your house is in the path of a hurricane or any type of natural disaster that you can get away from and they're evacuating the area, get out. Don't stick around. If it's not necessary to evacuate and you're not directly in a storm's path, make sure that you take a good look at your home and make sure that you don't have anything on your roof leaking. If you do have a leak in your roof, make sure you fix it. Make sure your gutters are draining good. Not just the actual gutter part, but even your downspouts. Make sure they're not stopped up and drained good. If they drain into your yard, make sure that's flowing good. If your basement has a sump pump, you're going to want to make sure that that works. A good friend of mine had his basement flood in a storm a month or 2 back because his sump pump quit working, and when water started coming in, it couldn't get rid of it. Another thing I'm going to lump in there with shelter is going to be your car. Make sure your car is full of gas or diesel or whatever your vehicle uses. Keep in mind that if there's large, widespread power outages, you know who else isn't going to have any power? The gas station. Those pumps are electric, so you're going to be screwed. So make sure your car is full. Make sure if you have something that uses gas or anything else, make sure you've got cans and they're full and you've got enough to go a while. Item the fourth I'm going to say that you're going to want to have to survive a natural disaster is going to be a generator. Remember, if you have a generator, you're going to want a transfer switch for it to be properly installed and wired into the house. Also, you're going to want to make sure that you have lots of fuel for that generator. If power is going to be out for any amount of time at all, one good thing to remember is maybe a solid 8 to 10 hours out of 1 tank of fuel for your generator. So if the gas tank on your generator holds 5 gallons, make sure you've got a 5-gallon can for every 8 to 10 hours that you plan to run it. Also with your generator, make sure it's serviced. Make sure it's in good working order. Always make sure to check with a multimeter that power coming out of your generator and going into your walls is what it should be, and that you're not going to fry all your electronic devices. A good example of this is my generator has a bad breaker on the 30 amp circuit, and it was putting 125 volts out to one leg of power on the 240 volt side and only 5 volts of power out to the other side. You wouldn't want to hook this up to your house because you would damage all your electrical components. Last thing you're going to want to have in preparation for a natural disaster is more of a state of mind than anything else. You're going to want to have a resilient attitude toward survival. Remember, surviving's easy. All you got to do is not die. But seriously though, one thing we learned from Katrina is it didn't take long at all after the storm passed and the rescue efforts began for society to completely dissolve into a without rule of law scenario. Not everybody's a nice person, and there's plenty of people out there who didn't prepare for the storm and are more than willing to take from those that have for those that don't have. In general, just make sure that you're prepared beforehand. You don't want to be trying to gather things last minute. You don't want to be scrounging around trying to find batteries in the dark when the power's done gone out and the storm's hit. It's too late then. Remember, don't be one of these people that chokes on a gnat and then later has to swallow an elephant. Make sure you're prepared now, not later. I'm out of time. I gotta go. See y'all next time. Remember, there's a storm coming. Stay safe. Stay strange.